Hello and welcome to AFL Podcasts, the home of objective, up-to-date and independent reporting on Turkey. Don't forget to follow our reports through social media, on aflnews.com or through our mobile app. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to AFL Podcast. I'm Hala Kay. Today our guest is Hercules Millas, a political scientist interested in Turkish-Greek relations and perceptions of the two sides. He's also a Rum, that is a Turkey-born Greek. Welcome, Mr. Millas, and thanks for joining us.
Hello from me.
What we want to discuss today is the potential repercussions and the roots of a recent ruling of a Turkish court. The ruling is about Chora Museum in Istanbul, or Kariye in Turkish, which was built in 4th century as a church, was converted into a mosque when Ottoman forces captured Constantinople in 1453. It was later turned into a museum in 1945. The court ruled that the building should be used in accordance with its function when it was transferred to Fatih Sultan Mehmet Foundation during the Ottoman period, that is, a mosque. That's a controversial decision, as the Chora itself is an important heritage site hosting incredible mosaics and frescoes. But what is more important is that the court's decision may be applied to similar buildings, particularly to one of Istanbul's symbols, Hagia Sophia. First of all, I want to ask you why these two former churches have such a significance. Why particularly the status of Hagia Sophia as a museum has been an issue, an international issue for such a long time, and what may happen if the Turkish president decides to implement the court's decision?
Let's start with a joke. They say to change the status of the museums to their original function, but their original function was a church. So they have to be turned to churches, you know. So this is what they mean is the original after they have been changed to the mosque. Anyhow, this is the decision of the court. Now, as for the importance, of course, Chora or Kariye, that church is very, very important because of its mosaics. They are mosaics as important as Ravenna's mosaics, and they are the art of the Renaissance of Byzantium. It's a very special period of Byzantium. So they are famous. And of course, St. Sophia, Hagia Sophia in Turkish, is famous because it's one of the most important architectural building of the 6th century. It has been built 2 or 3 times because it was damaged due to earthquakes. Anyhow, it is 5th century. It's an unbelievable, beautiful, important, huge church, important as an architectural marvel. So they are important. Now, why they are an issue, that's another thing. They are an issue now, they are museums, and they want some people in Turkey, not all, but some people in Turkey, especially those that believe they are believers, Muslims, they are attached to Islam. They want to change those two museums to mosques again. Now, I think it seems at the first instance, it sounds like a religious issue, but it is not religious. It is, I would say it was a religious issue, but now it's a political issue. It was a religious issue because traditionally, whenever one group with one religion used to capture another side of another religion, they used to symbolically get hold of the old religious place and turn it to their own. I mean, the Christians did that in Spain when they chased away the Muslims. They took the mosques and they turned them into churches. They still are operating as churches in Spain, at least many of them. And when the Muslims captured Istanbul, they turned many churches into mosques. And there is a mosque called Church Mosque, in Turkish, Kilise Cami. So this is a traditional way to do it. I mean, it is a normal in quotation at that time. But it is not very normal in the 21st century, of course. Now, they do it, I think, for two different two different regions. One is to give a message. It is a symbolic act. It gives a message. One is for Turkey, for Erdogan, I would say, giving a message for the Turkish people that I follow the tradition. I am a Muslim. I'm strong enough to do it, and I want to change the status of Saint Sophia again to its old situation. But this is actually giving a message against what Mustafa Kemal Atatürk had done before, because he changed the mosque into a museum by giving more importance to the civic side of the society and not to the religious side. And now Erdogan or some Muslims want to give another message, that we give importance to Islam and not to the civil side of the two buildings. This is one message for the country. The other message is for abroad, for the Western people, that we are strong. We don't take orders from you. We like to do work our way. Of course, then we have a reaction from the West, especially from Greece, because Greece takes this message exactly the way it is given. So they say, well, they associate themselves, they identify themselves with Christian churches, and they feel that they have been, pressurized, bullying, not respected, So we have a situation that starts as a religious issue, and it turns out to be symbolic, something that has to do with identities, with politics, that has dimensions for abroad and for the society of Turkey inside the country.
So reconverting Hagia Sophia into a mosque again has been a long-term dream for Turkey's Islamists. But is it fair to say that this tendency is limited only to Islamists in Turkey?
Yes, good question, because of course the part of the message is to give a message that we are independent, we are free to act the way we are. If the West is not happy with that, we don't care about that, we go our way. So this is not religious attitude, is clearly a national attitude, giving a message towards the other, that we are free to do whatever we like. Another thing is that we should not forget is that actually it is not a need. It is not, Turkey is not in need of mosques. They have a lot of mosques around that place. And Tayyip Erdogan himself had said, I think 2 or 3 years ago, let's first fill Sultan Ahmet Cami, which is the other big mosque just next to Saint Sophia, and then we see if we really need Saint Sophia, which means we have so many, a few believers within the one mosque, we don't need a second one. So that was 3 years ago. Now he needs to give another message, now different message. So it is not a need, it is a symbol. An act that symbolizes power, symbolizes determination, and symbolizes likeness to Islam. And I would say a message that we don't follow the line of Mustafa Kemal and with the civic society. We become more religious society. Of course, nationalists are happy with that. I mean, they are not contradicted with this act. It's because it shows the power of Turkish nation, independence and of the Turkish nation. So nationalists are also happy with it.
And what about secularists?
Well, I have sometimes difficulty in separating the secularists from the nationalists, Nationalists are secularists and many secularists are nationalists, And some declare openly that they are nationalists. Some call themselves socialist, but they are against the imperialist Westerners and so forth. But if you look behind all this discourse, we see that it's a nationalistic discourse, after all.
So Turks arrived in Anatolia like 1,000 years ago, and Istanbul was invaded or conquered in 1453. Why do Turks still feel the urge that they have to show the whole world that they own this country? Because this is also one of the reasons why there's that years of struggle for converting St. Sophia again into a mosque.
Yeah, you are right. You feel the insecurity there. They are uneasy with something. I think the whole thing starts from a mistaking, in a wrong understanding of citizenship. They believe, many people in Turkey, they are educated in that way. They believe that a nation is composed of one ethnic group. Once you believe in that, then you have a problem, because in Turkey there used to be, and there still are, other ethnic groups too behind the Turks. There are the Kurds, they used to be the Armenians, they used to be the Greeks. So instead of having an understanding and all these ethnic groups can compose citizenship and a nation state, they believe that we need only one ethnic group. So you are uneasy with others. You don't want to have them around. And you always feel that actually, if you have 4 ethnic groups, you feel you are only one of the 4. So you feel minority, and you're uneasy, and you behave, and I would say, in a problematic way. First, not treating the others very nicely, and this uneasiness, this insecurity comes up every now and then.
And finally, may I ask you, how do you think Greece will react if really the Turkish presidency decides to implement that decision? First, convert the Chora Museum into a mosque again, and maybe move on to do the same to St. Sophia?
Well, nation states looks similar, especially in the Balkans. I mean, they look quite to each other, In Greece, the Greeks claim, and they demand, and they ask to respect the old churches, at least to keep them as museums. But they don't do the same thing with the mosque in Greece, so they will react, actually. They will say that this is not right, and this is not just, and this is not respectful. But they cannot do anything more than that. Or there is I don't think they will change it, a mosque to a church or something. We don't have, in Greece, there are no such cases. There are no big mosques as important as St. Sophia. I think Greeks will complain, but that's all they are going to do. I believe that this will not eventually happen. I mean, I don't think this Hagia Sophia and the other Chora Museum will change to mosque. I think it is not practically useful to Turkey, and it makes no sense. I think the harm will be much better than the populist profit that is being expected. I think they will use this discourse, and they will make some casual Quran readings, the way they did it once in St. Sophia, but they will not go back, because then the Kemalists will be upset. They don't want that.
Thanks, Mr. Filas, for this conversation. Thanks for joining us.
I thank you for calling me.
And thanks everybody for listening us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.